Bonsoir, comment ça va? J'espère que ça va bien. Merci tout le monde d'être ici, c'est trop mimes. Il y a eu un petit souci de compte apparemment, mais t'inquiète, personne n'a vu. Genre, tout va bien. J'espère que vous avez aimé ce petit jazz. Libre de doigt, bien sûr. Libre de doigt, au secours. Mais non, t'es pas un boulet. Mais en vrai, quand t'as plusieurs comptes, genre, c'est chaud de switcher. Genre, enfin bref, t'inquiète pas. J'espère que vous avez passé une bonne journée. Genre, il faisait beau aujourd'hui, ça faisait du bien. Genre, vraiment. Mais bon. Ça fait longtemps que j'ai pas streamé, j'avais oublié comment c'était. Genre, tu vraiment l'impression que tu parles tout seul, mais il y a quand même des gens qui te répondent. Enfin, c'est bizarre comme sensation. Mais ouais, j'en ai de ouf. J'en ai de ouf. Ah! Oui, vous êtes là, vous êtes là. Longue journée du coup, aquarelle. Bienvenue, je pense que je t'ai jamais venu. J'espère que je prononce bien, normalement oui. Enfin moi en tout cas, je t'ai jamais vu sur les streams, donc je te dis bonjour. Mais oui, c'est genre vraiment genre le retour, le retour en stream, genre c'est là. Ah! Mais bon après, genre en vrai ça vient facilement quand même. Et désolé, je t'ai pas dit, désolé si t'as passé une longue journée. Ah bah super. Quelle ambiance ici, je parle pas tout le temps tout seul. Euh, si, mais je fais comme si c'était Danny qui parlait, donc ça va. Des rats, au secours. Des rats mignons, j'espère, genre des rats domestiques, genre des petits rats comme ça. Pas des gros rats comme ça. Ouais, non mais ça balaise, ça balaise. Ça balance, ça balaise. Ouais. Allez, je me perds déjà dans les mots, ça va être terrible, hein. Ne vous battez pas, s'il vous plaît. Oui, tu rigoles, tu rigoles. Tu vas pas rigoler longtemps. Non, je plaisante. Ouais, les rats, en vrai, ça fait un peu peur. Je sais pas, en fait, je pense qu'on a plus une mauvaise image des rats, donc on a facilement peur. Mais, euh, mais parfois, ça peut être mignon, genre un petit. Et surtout en cage, qui ne peut pas te mordre, finalement. Mais oui. Oui, mais Roman, tu aimes tout. Enfin, tout. Enfin, bref. Non, je fais ça. Mais souris, c'est plus petit. Genre, moi, j'ai moins peur que ça me morde une souris. Genre, c'est comme ça, une souris. Genre, elle va rien te faire. Alors que je suis sûre qu'elle peut te défoncer un doigt, mais bon. Oui, non, mais c'est mignon, et les rats, en plus, c'est hyper attachant. Et genre, c'est mignon, genre, quoi, elles sont sur l'épaule, là, comme ça. Genre, tel un perroquet, mais en rat, du coup. Tu pensais qu'il avait peur, donc tu as montré les rats. Super. What the fuck. J'attends encore une petite minute, puis après, je pense que je vais lancer le jeu. Oh, vous avez eu deux souris? Elle s'appelait comment? C'est trop mimes. Excusez-moi. Je suis un peu fatiguée. Des souris. Bon, j'attends les noms des souris, et après, je lance le jeu. Princesse! Oh, c'est trop mignon! Princesse! En plus, elle était toute blanche. Une souris marron, par contre, j'ai jamais vu de souris marron. Bonjour, je ne sais pas qui tu es, mais bonjour, je ne sais pas qui tu es. Héli-ho, au secours, ça me fait peur. Non, je plaisante. J'ai pas interagi beaucoup avec des gens aujourd'hui. Alors, euh, au secours, je ne sais pas, j'ai la mémoire d'un poisson rouge. Mais bienvenue en tout cas. Au secours. Oui, ça y est, je pense savoir. Est-ce que tu es Gatien, par hasard? Bienvenue Gatien si c'est toi. Si c'est pas toi, je ne suis désolée. Oui, c'est trop bien. Merci d'être passé, c'est trop mimes. Oh, c'est trop mimes. Bah du coup, comme t'es là, je vais lancer le jeu, hein. Oui, franchement, juste gay. Ça m'a donné l'indice qu'il me fallait. Genre vraiment. Hop, au secours. Non mais t'as bien fait de me dire ça, genre vraiment. Est-ce que vous avez du son? J'espère. Gatien. Je sais pas quelle heure il est. Y a pas de son? Mais après, moi, j'avais pas de son non plus. Mais est-ce que vous avez eu... Ok, c'est bon. Merci. Ouais, c'est mon heure préférée. Non, pas du tout. En fait, j'explique. En fait, j'ai lancé les jeux pour tester, genre, si le jeu fonctionnait bien. Et genre, les réglages et tout. Et en fait, à chaque fois, j'ai mis l'heure. Et en fait, le jeu, il m'a dit, c'est trop bien, vous avez mis l'heure, alors que beaucoup de gens n'ont pas mis l'heure. Voilà. Et donc, du coup, là, il me fait des petites blagounettes. Voilà. Genre, vraiment, il me lit en moi. Oui, je vais mettre l'heure exacte et alors, je suis psychorigide et alors. Voilà. Oh, ça va, ça suffit, hein. Ah, ça me fait peur, genre, c'est bon, arrête de lire en moi, j'en peux plus. C'est long. Du coup, là, le son, c'est bon parce que c'est vrai qu'on n'avait pas beaucoup de son tout à l'heure, mais genre là, c'est bon, vous entendez le téléphone, vous entendez le brouhaha d'un open space. Est-ce que tout va bien? C'est vrai, t'adores ce jeu, franchement. Moi, je pense que j'ai vu genre deux, trois images du jeu, mais c'est vraiment tout. Et merci pour le son. Et genre, j'ai un peu la direction du jeu, mais vraiment un tout petit peu. Mais voilà. Non, il a pas de souci. En plus, j'ai bien déréglé tous les réglages que tu avais fait. Donc ne t'en fais pas, tu vas mettre à peu près 30-45 minutes. Hop, la souris, là, ça dégage. Hop, commencer le jeu. The end is never the end. Oh mon dieu, mon accent. C'est terrible.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was
On est en
simple.
prison ou quoi?
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Ma vie.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what
simulator.
buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. and although others might have considered it soul-lifting,
Bah,
Stanley
bon courage
relished
pour la fin de ton
every
taf.
moment that the
Tu finis à
orders
quelle
came
heure?
in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Super.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
Quelqu'un
He
avait
had been
ramené
at his
des
desk for
croissants.
nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company
Mon
had
pire
this
cauchemar, genre
happened,
vraiment me
this
retrouver tout
complete
seul dans le bureau.
isolation.
Non, vraiment.
Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses,
Stanley,
he
il
got
a l'air
up
un
from
peu
his desk
genre weak,
and
non?
stepped out of his office.
Je sais pas. Et genre oui, j'ai pas dit, mais il me semble que le jeu, genre c'est pas un mode de Half-Life ou un truc dans le genre. Après j'ai jamais joué à ce jeu non plus, mais bon, je suis debout. Ok. Oh, la sensi, elle est là, hein. Ok. Est-ce que je peux grave des trucs? Non. Oui. Je sais pas. Ok. Bah ça va, moi au bout du PC, bah genre là je joue sur un PC à peu près comme ça. Mais c'est pas vrai. Si Antoine passe par là, ton PC il est génial. Ok. Toutes les portes sont fermées.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Oh, please.
Ça se trouve il est venu un jour
Are you
férié.
really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A
Ça
measly
va.
5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
Ok. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 10.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a
Okay.
noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do.
50.
Yes, almost certainly
C'est bon.
50 clicks.
Ouais, genre vraiment être seul au travail, genre c'est horrible. Enfin ça doit être horrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, attends.
No,
j'ai
no,
mal.
I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Et si j'ai pas envie de faire ce qu'il a envie de faire, parce que là depuis tout à l'heure qu'il a envie que je fasse. Pardon, enfin c'était bizarre. Je vais pas faire ce qu'il veut que je fasse, c'est bon. Hop. Ok. Gros chef-d'œuvre, mais en vrai, c'est ce que j'ai lu, genre vraiment. Oh non, j'ai éteint le PC de Josiane, et chier. Oh, elle va me tuer, j'espère qu'elle va enregistrer ce qu'elle a. Ok. Non mais je vais désobéir, c'est sûr, c'est sûr. Oh, je déteste les lundis. Gros mood. Au secours. Il n'y aura aucune porte ouverte, quoi. Ok.
When Stanley
Au secours, on
came
dirait
to
des
a set
backrooms,
of
c'est
2
terrible.
open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, faut que... Oh, j'ai pas lu les sous-titres. On dit left, left, gauche. Oh, je confonds ma gauche et ma droite, c'est bien gauche, hein. Donc, à droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Peut-être que j'ai envie d'un café. Ah, j'aimerais tellement être au chômage, genre. Vraiment. Au secours. En vrai, t'es pas au chômage, Roman, arrête.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Je peux pas avoir à boire.
Yes.
Franchement,
really,
genre,
really
jamais
worth
je
it
serais
being
pas.
here in the room.
Genre, même si
A
vous avez des
room
vacances.
so utterly captivating that even though all
Déjà, je
your
sais pas lire
co-workers
deux
have
mots
mysteriously
avec
vanished,
des adolescents en
here
face
you
de moi,
sit looking at
c'est non,
these
genre,
chairs
vraiment.
and some paintings. Really worth it.
J'ai pas lu ce qu'il a dit.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Donc la porte à gauche, donc tout droit.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Mais je suis tout petit, non? Ou alors cette table est incroyablement grande, mais bon. Ah non, pardon. C'est un truc pour le dessin. Pardon, je sais pas faire deux choses en même temps. Et vu que j'ai pas deux écrans, je suis obligée de regarder l'écran qu'il y a là. C'est terrible.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Je sais, je sais. Ok, du coup ça me remet au début, non? Si. Oh, purée.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ouais, mais quand t'es prof, genre, tu travailles de chez toi, non? Genre, certes, tu rentres chez toi, genre, tu fais peut-être, allez, 4 heures de cours, et du coup, tu rentres chez toi et t'as du taf, non?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Je refais le même chemin parce qu'il y a peut-être quelque chose à faire d'autre
Yes,
que de sauter
this
dans le vide.
room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Genre si je vais là.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
En fait, je te vois pas,
Someone
donc
you've
j'ai du mal à te
forgotten
faire
about.
confiance.
Please,
Comme je ne mets pas
stop
mon
trying
visage
to
sur
make
toi.
every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
C'est qui elle?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem
J'ai sauté,
yourself.
je suis mort.
To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
J'ai pas lu du coup qui était Chi. Mais oui, c'est genre. Personnellement, je pense que c'est mieux de pas suivre les instructions. Genre, ça met un petit peu plus de piment. Ok. Bon, là, il n'y a qu'un chemin. Dans une pièce noire. Au secours.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
J'ai pas très envie de décrocher. Mais je pense que c'est la seule solution. Ou alors j'attends que ça raccroche. Pas que ce soit sur le répondeur. Je sais pas. Oui, genre, genre quand c'est passé dans le noir et tout là, et qu'il a pris un ton sérieux, c'était... J'ai peur. Mais vas-y, il s'arrêtera jamais. Je perds patience. Mais je peux pas en fait.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second.
Je fais des choix sensés, je n'avais pas envie de répondre au téléphone.
No, that's not
dépend du
possible. I
téléphone.
can't
Je fuis
believe
mes
it.
responsabilités.
How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Le danger est partout. Ok. Du coup, qu'est-ce qu'on fait maintenant? On peut aller là, non? Toutes ces salles vides.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Il est marqué « Non, vous pouvez pas sauter ». On a enlevé l'option. Les bâtards. Au secours. Bah 5000 $, franchement ça le fait. Donc je peux plus sauter. Genre j'ai le choix mais en fait j'ai plus le choix en fait. Moi, je suis un esprit libre. Hein. Moi, je fais ce que je veux. Hein. Ok. Elle était ouverte, là? Merci, Gellar, pardon, pour le follow, c'est très gentil, merci à toi, et bienvenue.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
J'ai pas envie d'aller dans le monde réel. J'ai cru que la porte était ouverte. Et non.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je sais pas si ça va me faire une boucle. Mais j'y vais quand même.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Ok. Ah, ça commence à bugger. Genre, le jeu, il commence à bugger. Genre, il a pas... J'aurais pensé pas que j'allais prendre cette décision, c'est ça. C'est pour ça, Matrix. Je peux sortir. Ok. Ok. Je suis sortie. Je re-rentre à droite. Non, ok. C'est trop nul. Enfin, nul, non. Ok, le jeu est incroyablement vide, ça me fait peur. Je déteste, il n'y a pas de son, genre... Parle-moi. Ok. Oh, pourquoi il y a des choses à voir tout
It's
seul?
ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work.
Everything
Why?
is okay.
For what?
Empty.
What did you get out of that? What did you
Employee.
think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down.
Non, mais non, éteins pas le jeu, c'est bon.
I have to.
Arrête, ça va la drama queen. Mais laisse-moi jouer à mon jeu à moi. Ouais, c'est très Liminal Space, ouais. J'aime trop. Ok. Il a changé.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed.
Oui, bah
It
désolé,
was the only
mais
thing in the
mon jeu
world
était
that was
nul à mort.
mine, and you've run it into the
Mon jeu
ground.
était... Oh, t'as compris.
What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
Merci Pulco pour le follow, c'est très gentil à toi.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Normalement, la gauche est toujours la réponse, mais là, je vais aller à droite.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right.
Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je vais baisser un petit peu le jeu, du coup. Whip. Tu me diras si c'est un peu mieux. Hop, pardon. Hop. Je reprends. Toup. Ok. Est-ce que si je vais à l'infini, là, on va toujours me chat ou pas? On va voir. Oui, ok. Donc, faut que j'aille là-bas. Ah, mais là, il me dit pas no.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly,
T'as mis
hurry
du
back.
temps quand même, hein.
Behave
Oh,
exactly as
merci.
Stanley would.
Elle te
That
dit merci,
means
elle te dit
choosing
miaou.
responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Bon, elle est pas là, mais je lui dirai que vous lui avez souhaité un joyeux anniversaire. C'est gentil, merci beaucoup. Bon. Bah, vu que je suis bloquée, je pense qu'il n'y a pas d'autre solution que d'aller là. Mais du coup, ça va être encore bancal, non? Ou là, vu que je suis pas allée de l'autre côté, ça va aller? Il y a une table, donc ça a l'air d'aller mieux. Des petits tips pour pas être viré, franchement.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
pouvais lire?
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ok, super. Merci pour les joyeux anniversaires. C'est Mims. Alors... Mais qui passe les slides, du coup? Ok. Number of slides, on dit slide. Pardon, ça me fait rire. Ok, bon, faut que je parte. Le placard à balai. Le placard toute mon enfance.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Moi, j'aurais aimé descendre. Laisse-moi descendre. Oui, s'il vous plaît, dites joyeux anniversaire sinon vous êtes banni à vie. Non, je plaisante. Oh, comment c'est beau dans le bureau du chef. Nous, on n'a pas ça, hein. Je clique sur tout, je suis désolée. Ok, donc là, on est obligé d'y aller. Oh, ça me dégoûte. Ah, j'en ai des frissons.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief
C'est
who
un panda qui se
orchestrated
fait...
this, until he saw the door
Genre, il a un
with a
pistolet
voice
sur la tempe.
receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Est-ce qu'on peut faire autre chose?
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He
Je dirais
spoke
rien.
it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Je dirais rien.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you?
Si, si, j'ai
Please
très bien
speak the
entendu.
code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
D'accord.
Okay, fine. You're not gonna do it.
Donc c'est un pauvre
But
qui
you
se
know
fait
what?
braquer, au secours.
It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a
Parce que
choice, you
j'avais pas
know.
le
You
choix.
could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
Monsieur, vous êtes un petit peu... Au secours. What the fuck?
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay?
Maintenant, je sais pas.
Stanley, please.
Au secours, je suis coincée.
I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me?
Ah, au secours, je vais pleurer. Non, tout va pas bien, tu vois bien que je suis coincée.
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever
si.
you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do
Oui,
something.
genre ça fait très aussi Portal 2.
Anything.
Mais je pense que... Ouais,
This is
je sais
more
pas.
important than you can ever know. I need this.
J'aime tellement Portal,
The story
c'est
needs
incroyable.
you.
Gladys, là. Non, GLaDOS.
So,
GLaDOS,
You hear
pardon.
me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there?
Qu'est-ce que je suis censée faire, là?
It's okay.
Partir?
I
Je
can
peux
wait.
pas partir.
You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all.
Désolé, le roi.
I'll wait for you to
Les
decide
rails.
what's the right thing to do.
Ouais, c'est bon,
Take as
je...
much time as you need.
J'ai un moyen de partir, là? Ah non. Non, mais ça fait un peu cher quand même le jeu, je tiens à le dire, parce que si c'est la fin, ça me fait un peu chier. Ok, on revient là. Non.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Et là, je suis censée recommencer encore. Mais est-ce que je suis censée recommencer bien? Ou pas? Je crois qu'il n'y a rien qu'à changer là. Ah, quoique. Ou pas, peut-être que tout à l'heure ça y était aussi et juste j'ai pas fait attention. Le PC de Sylvie.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je suis désolée, hein.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
J'ai pas envie de tout recommencer aussi, ça me ferait chier de tout recommencer. Est-ce que j'arrive à me bloquer?
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But
que là,
eager
il
to
a les
get
mêmes
back to
discours,
business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ça, je l'ai jamais fait. Allez.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
J'ai pas envie aussi, frérot. Hein. Ok. Allez, les vieux écrans de chargement là.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. he wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left. Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
Tu me fermes pas la porte comme ça. Je sais pas pour qui tu te prends, mais tu vas te calmer.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Oui, bah oui, j'ai tout mon temps, t'en fais pas.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Tu vas la refermer encore une fois? Non. Au secours.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
Bah non.
Okay. We just get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story
Là, on voit quelque
completely
chose, mais j'arrive
unusable.
pas à voir.
How about, rather than
Quelqu'un a
waste
été
my
viré.
time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
J'ai pas le choix. Faut que j'aille dans la putain de porte à gauche et que
All of his co-workers were gone. What
je
could
dise
it
le mot de
mean?
passe, la requin
Stanley decided to
155.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Tu sais quoi, je vais y aller, voilà, parce que tu m'as saoulé, c'est bon.
When Stanley...
Je boude.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did
Non,
you
j'ai rien changé, moi.
move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I
Parce que c'est
know
moi
for
qui fais
sure that it's
l'histoire.
here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Oh, je dois aller là, moi. Purée. Je vais là. Oh, toutes les portes, elles sont ouvertes, là. Pardon. Au secours, mais je vais me perdre.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we just...
C'est pas
Do
la
we need
pire
to
aventure.
restart the game again?
Non, non,
Well, I
t'inquiète.
find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Non. Je ne voulais pas.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, il y a plus de
yep,
porte.
it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's
Comme quoi,
possible the
réessayer,
story
ça
is
vaut pas le
back
coup.
where we just came from.
Si vous vous
Why
plantez,
don't we go back
bah
the
restez
other
là, là où
direction
vous êtes. Hein.
and see if we missed anything.
Faut que je fasse demi-tour? Oui, du coup. Ok. Alors c'est vide, il n'y a pas de musique, il n'y a rien, ça m'angoisse. Le vide comme ça, là.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The
Il y avait mon bureau à
story.
l'époque. Hein.
Here it comes.
Ok, il y a 10 fois le même tableau. Ah non, pardon. Les couloirs comme ça,
No,
là.
wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Ok. Oui, franchement, le narrateur, il est incroyable. Genre, l'acteur, il est incroyable. Non, c'est de pire en pire. Oh, il est beau, le jeu, quand même. Hein.
Now
Pour un
this...
jeu de 1930.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't
Je trouve quand
recognize
même
this
assez
place at
beau.
all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
Tu commences à
Well, do you
perdre
know
la
what?
mémoire?
Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
Je peux...
no.
Ouais.
No,
Non, ça
I
va
don't
pas du
feel
tout.
right
J'ai pas
about
la
this at
sensation
all.
d'avoir
We both
accompli
know
quelque
you
chose.
didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to
Arrête de vouloir
restart.
redémarrer, c'est pas la solution.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed
Au
the
secours,
help
je suis pas un
of the
robot.
Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple
The
is
line
that?
TM. Allez, ça me bute. Ok. J'espère que ça va encore bugger. Je suis sortie de la ligne, il m'a rien dit. C'est pas le chemin d'habitude. Il n'y a pas de... D'accord. Il n'y a toujours pas de porte, donc on va suivre les lignes.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over
Les
in
portes
this
sont plus
direction.
de plus en plus
Onward,
bancales.
Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick
Oui,
with
bah
me.
non, je suis
Now, we
perdue.
can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if
Alexandre,
my
t'en dis quoi?
experience of your existence rests inside of
Moi,
your
la philosophie,
subjective
ça a jamais été mon
experience
fort.
of
Hein.
this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there.
Oui.
Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
What the fuck? Bonjour. La musique épique, c'est bon, je vais pas conquérir le monde. Arrête, j'ai pas envie d'aller dans le bureau de mon chef. Ah, la ligne, elle est un peu bourrée, non? « 4 heures, ça va pas me suffire. » Un point d'interrogation et plein de points d'interrogation. Pardon. musique épique, là, en bruit, c'est je veux savoir mon dossier personnel.
Cut the music. Go back
merci.
and look at that fern.
Pourquoi? Non.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ah, bah oui, merci la ligne.
No, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Non, arrête, je voulais voir mon dossier. Oui, c'est vraiment une petite musique de Noël, genre un vieux film de Noël. Sur la 6. Genre un chien pour Noël ou un truc dans le genre, tu vois.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Bah écoute, si tu veux. De toute façon, je suis un petit peu obligée. Un couloir vide.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination.
J'ai pas dit
Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready
Les
for
backrooms,
it.
ça suffit, là. Ça m'angoisse. Bientôt, il y a un truc de...
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Je fais comme si qu'elle n'existe pas. Bourrer la ligne.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Oh, trop bien, attends. Mais trop bien, la fin tremblante. Ok, ça y est, la salle de maintenance, finir. Dans la salle des écrans, l'ordinateur relance le premier redémarrage. J'ai découvert la salle de jeu. La salle de porte important.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one
C'est
giant
la signature des musiques.
And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again.
Néo n'avait pas
Am I
choix
just
au
supposed to
final.
forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this,
Mais comment tu vas faire le
this
narrateur, du coup?
wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide?
Voilà.
Why don't I get
Coucou
a
des
say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Ok.
And the
Maintenant, ça
timer
fait quoi?
stopped? Does that mean
Parce qu'au début, moi,
did
tu voulais que je fasse ce que
did
tu
we
veux,
break
et
the
là, tu peux
cycle?
pas faire ce qu'on te dit de faire.
Whatever it
C'est
is
pas
that made
français
this
ce que je dis.
schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Bah, tu sais quoi?
So,
J'attends.
okay.
J'attends la comics. Hein. Demain, sur mon bureau.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Ça m'a fait peur en plus, un peu. Genre mon cœur, il a fait ça. Ok. Et du coup, il est pas conscient qu'on a redémarré.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
Oh
it
non,
mean?
le pauvre, il
Stanley
oublie à chaque
decided to
fois.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ok.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
J'ai peur qu'on refasse la même chose, donc je vais aller effectivement dans celle de gauche. Ok, la salle de réunion.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ah,
Coming
mais
to
là,
a
je peux
staircase,
descendre.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Donc je descends. Oh, ça fait peur. Ok.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive
Bloqué.
economy, why
No.
had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously
trop
out
peur
of
d'être ce
existence
floc.
in a single
Au secours.
moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation.
Pardon.
His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I
Franchement, si
suppose I'll wake up
sa
soon.
préoccupation
I'll
c'est
have to
de
go
perdre son
back
job,
to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had
le
still not
narrateur, il est
woken
bourré.
up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
No.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
Mais qui rêve de ça? Enfin,
Please,
qui souhaite
it's all I
ça?
want.
Arrête.
I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
Au secours.
Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Ça va aller. Donc j'ai dormi sur rien.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ça m'angoisse. C'est bon, arrête. Arrête d'être comme ça.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she
j'ai fait tous les
considered the
mauvais choix.
strange
Évidemment
man.
que je fais toutes les fois
He was
angoissantes.
obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this
Genre,
man made
qui
her
voit
feel
quelqu'un
better.
mort et qui se dit ça, genre,
Then
ouais,
she
trop bien, ma
remembered
vie,
the
elle est
meeting she
super.
had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the
Au
body,
secours.
and then she turned and ran.
Ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Et du coup, là, si je fais la bonne fin...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on
Qu'est-ce que
his
ça fait?
left.
Genre, ça fait fin?
Yet there was not a
Bonne fin, je sais pas, en
single
fait.
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might find coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
C'était pas comme ça tout à l'heure? Si?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened
J'espère que tu vas
passageway.
bien. Ok. Donc là, c'est censé être good. Secours. J'ai peur. Mais là, je vais tomber. Ah non. C'est vrai que vous habitez quand même assez loin. Donc vous voyez pas souvent, quoi. C'est dommage.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ok. Ok.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent
Oula.
death.
J'étais un peu penché, non? Ou c'est moi?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Pas de souci. Je vais vraiment mourir là? Ah oui. Ah non, ça va. Comme quoi les enfants ont sauté, hein.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger
Secours, j'ai
picture.
pas envie d'être
He
pressé
doesn't
comme un
know
citre.
the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he
Super.
resigned and willingly accepted
Laissez-moi
this
sortir,
violent
je ne
end
veux pas
to his
finir comme
brief
ça.
and shallow
Bah,
life.
trop tard, non?
Farewell, Stanley.
Bon bah, ok. Adieu. C'était super.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ok, pourquoi je suis pas mort? Quoi, non? Ok, pourquoi ça a changé de narrateur? Ok.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Je sais pas. Au secours, ça m'angoisse. Oui, je te jure. Pourquoi vous avez changé? Pourquoi c'est la maison de l'architecte? J'en peux plus. Pourquoi tout est blanc?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was
Ah bon, des
already dead
paysages.
from the moment he hit start?
J'étais déjà mort en fait. Oh, tu vois les maquettes, plan du bureau. Ce plan vous montre le bureau de début de la partie. Ok. Les deux portes. Couloir. Au secours, c'est giga angoissant. Avoir d'un rangement. Des portes, ok. Si je vais là. Ah, j'ai pas eu les 2 bureaux là. Ou c'était les prototypes. Est-ce que là je vais avoir toutes les fins que j'aurais pu avoir? Au secours.
At the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Stanley stood on the snow.
C'est une coupée de narration, au secours.
Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the Faire.
Je suis angoissée. Horloge du bureau. Il est chiant ce musée. Voici la toute première version de la fin des libertés pour l'alpha du jeu. Ok. C'est quand la liberté? Non, la bêta, ok.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Ouais, le narrateur, on était piégé. C'est ça que tu essayes de me dire, madame? Pourquoi la musique, elle devient genre hyper angoissante d'un coup? Calmez-vous. Faut que j'aille là-bas. Hein. J'ai pas envie d'aller là-bas dans un couloir, j'aurais tout détruit, c'est bon. Ça, c'était pas dans le jeu, hein. Ah si, pardon. Ok. Qu'est-ce qui est activé et désactivé? C'est long, ça m'angoisse. Je suis tout petit.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Mais j'ai pas envie de faire ça. Moi, je veux finir le jeu.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Et si je vais au Mind Control Facility?
Yet there was not a single person here either.
C'est pas quoi
Feeling a
faire.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the
Non, ça va,
narrator
tu mets trop de temps à parler
That
aussi.
kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he
Quel
relaxed
drama
for a few
queen, c'est
moments
bon.
with some calming new age music.
Ça va, le grand bleu, là.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Bon, ça va mieux. Ok.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ah là, il n'y a même plus de escape, quoi. Ah si, pardon, je l'ai juste pas vu. Tu vas trop vite, Alex, aussi. Faut que j'appuie sur le gros bouton. Je peux pas sauter. Ok.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What
Ah mais je
horrible
reviens toujours à la
secret
salle
did
des
this
télés.
place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Bah oui. Je crois. Ok. Faut que j'appuie sur le gros bouton avec les caméras.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building,
C'est mon
Stanley's
bureau.
co-workers,
Trop
the
mise.
lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ok. On a un écran qui reste allumé. C'est pour monter?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley
Couldn't
really
be
been
true.
under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Arrêtez.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ok. Mais comment? Là-bas, il y a une porte, mais c'est d'où je viens? Il était loin. I don't know. Non, c'est pas d'où je viens. J'ai descendu des... Je perds ma mémoire. Ok. La facture d'électricité avec tous ces écrans là, c'est bon.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
Ok.
Now
Je
this
peux
is
rester là
making
2
things a
minutes.
little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story
Au secours,
now.
avec le
Shape
compteur,
it to
c'est
your
bon, c'est
heart's
pour me stresser, ça.
desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
C'est toi qui parles de toi, hein. Moi je parle pas de moi et tu...
You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Super.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this though, this version of events has been rather amusing.
Ça passe pas vite,
Watching
2
you
minutes,
try to make sense of
c'est long,
everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what?
Bien si tu prends ton
With
pied.
it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me.
Il est sérieux, juste pour me faire craquer, genre en mode
Faire
passer le
what
temps.
you're
Non, non,
supposed to be
non,
doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
Arrête de...
No,
Tu regardes ce que je fais.
Or maybe this big red button, or this
C'est bon, c'est parce que c'est pour faire passer le temps, si tu veux, je reste là, c'est
here
bon.
will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you make
arrête de jouer avec moi comme ça, genre je suis un hamster
It's a tragedy.
son labyrinthe, c'est
You
bon.
wanted to control this world.
J'ai pas envie de jouer à la balle.
But I'm going to destroy it first. So
Goodbye, employee. 427.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
Oula, ça
No
tremble.
ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Pas de soucis.
Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will
J'y
you
ai trop
let it go
cru.
peacefully?
Au secours.
Another
Il y a une petite
choice.
lueur d'espoir.
Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Il veut que j'appuie sur off, mais genre moi je veux pas. Est-ce que ça me fait recommencer au début? J'en peux plus de ce jeu. Oh, faut tout que je refasse pour appuyer sur off. Ah!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
C'est le
it
dernier
mean?
essai. Après, si on
Stanley
veut, je
decided to
quitte
go
ce
to the
jeu de
meeting
mort,
room.
là, c'est bon.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
En vrai, j'aime bien le jeu, bien sûr. Oh! Mais non!
Oh, new content? What does that mean? New
Il fallait que je le...
content?
Fallait que je le... Comment on appelle ça? Merde, j'ai oublié le mot! I forgot the word. What the fuck? Moi, je veux bien un nouveau truc, hein. Toup, 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 toup. Ok. Pourquoi je fais du petit train? What the fuck?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and
Au secours,
expands
c'est
the
le
world of the
DLC.
Stanley Parable,
Vous voulez pas
delighting
faire le
audiences the
DLC?
world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
C'est sûr qu'il y a
Oh, well,
rien.
this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Au secours.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Je suis sûre qu'il y a rien. Ça va me ramener au bureau. Ça va être rien du tout.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving
C'est
somewhere?
pire que ça.
Oh, here we go. All right, finally,
Ah
at
non, je pense
long
qu'on va
last,
rester
it's
bloqué.
on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh,
Comment il dit
let's
ça?
see the content.
C'est quoi cette
Give me the
intonation?
content, Stanley.
Ouais, bah j'arrive, c'est bon. Ouais.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Au secours, bah, je vais les faire. Hein. J'ai payé le DLC pas pour rien. Après, je pourrais plus sauter. Purée, c'était le... Le fun est déjà fini, je suis déçue.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The
Oui, ben non,
Stanley
t'inquiète.
Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I
C'est voir
knew there
McQueen
had to be
aussi,
something
celui-ci.
else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Merci. Oh, trop bien.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship
j'aime
that's gone
trop.
into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley.
Oh.
I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about.
Oui, bah oui,
No
bah vas-y. Hein.
frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Nous ne sommes pas amis, le nanateur. Le nanateur. Arrête. Ce n'est pas du tout mon bureau. Enfin, si, c'est mon bureau, mais ça ne l'est pas. Enfin, ça c'est pas le couloir.
Psst, Stanley, come over
Ne refais
here.
plus jamais ça.
In the vent. I want to show you something.
Il m'a fait tellement peur, le psst. Là, c'est bon, arrête.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine.
Si, j'arrive.
Never mind. You're not a dog.
Si je meurs. Au secours, c'est long. Au secours, le jeu a crash, non. Ah non, j'ai trop peur.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it
L'original,
away
c'était
here where the
mieux.
game's
J'aime pas le
developers won't
remake.
find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Au secours, c'est pas le début de Elden Ring. Enfin, coup-ci, coup-ça. Faut imaginer. Avec un peu plus de moyens.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
What the fuck. Ok.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back
Non,
then,
j'étais pas là, je
video
suis
games
désolée.
had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Il y a eu des bons jeux depuis, après 2013, il y a eu des trucs. Je plaisante, il y a eu des choses. Oui, il y a eu beaucoup de merde, mais il y a eu des choses quand même. Bon. Smile because it happened. Mais oui, genre maintenant, on a envie de prendre le narrateur dans notre bras. Dans notre bras. On a qu'un seul bras. Ça se peut, ça existe. Enfin, ça existe. C'est possible. Au secours! C'est pas ce que je voulais dire. Je perds mes mots. Je peux mettre sur le petit banc et regarder. Oh.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like
Can
this
you do
stunning
reviews?
triumph of games
Except
journalism.
this one?
10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Arrête, je vais pleurer. En plus, je l'ai même pas fini le jeu et je fais ça avant, purée. The original remake. Ah mais là, ça va fermer la porte, j'ai pas envie de ça. Ah non, y a rien, en fait. Pourquoi sans maintenance? Fuck. C'est qui? Ok.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Dire qu'il faut pas de contenu en plus, qu'il faut laisser ça comme ça. J'ai pas eu ça.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Mais là, c'est là d'où je viens. Ah,
What
non,
I
c'est bon,
wouldn't
là,
give
maintenant,
to go
c'est-
back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this?
Okay.
What's down here?
Steam reviews.
Oh no. God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Est-ce qu'on va voir des bad reviews?
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Désolée. Le stream ça aurait pu s'appeler Je baille. Encore une bad review.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
Des mauvais souvenirs.
I feel like a failure.
Non,
Like I let these
arrête.
people down.
Oh.
Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Arrête, tu vas me faire pleurer. Boop.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well,
Les gens, ils sont si méchants.
Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Oui, j'espère aussi. J'espère aussi que c'est des vraies choses qui ont été dites. Genre, ça aurait été bien qu'il y ait les pseudos ou quoi. This is skip
and
button.
Here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course,
cool.
I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound...
Arrête.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your finger. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's...
Au secours, il va devenir fou. Il va plus exister, il va mourir.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you.
Mais on est obligé de faire ça. Bah là, il n'existe plus. Ça fait combien de temps que je suis partie? Oh non, je l'ai tué. J'ai même pas fini le jeu et je l'ai tué. Mais oui, c'est trop triste, genre vraiment. Au secours, elle est où l'alarme? Ça me stresse. Pardon, j'ai crié. Ah mais c'est le truc là-haut là. On skip, on skip.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the
Ah,
jokes?
tu m'as
Where
fait
are the
peur, j'ai cru
jokes?
que
They
t'étais
bemoaned, they
parti, que
screamed,
t'étais mort.
they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little
Je
thumb.
skip quand même du coup. Qu'est-ce que je dois faire? Je suis coincée là, je dois skipper à vie, je dois faire quelque chose, je sais pas.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
C'est tellement stressant. Qu'est-ce que je suis censée faire? Mais dis-moi! Parle-moi! J'ai besoin d'entendre ta voix. Ok. Bon là il s'est passé un bout de temps. Ok. Qu'est-ce que je suis censée faire là? Non, c'est bon. Il fait beau. Secours, je suis softlock. Oh, ce sourd. Non, c'est bon. Au bout d'un moment, le mur il va se désintégrer et je vais pouvoir passer. C'est beau. C'est si beau. Pourquoi ça a changé drastiquement comme ça? C'était mieux avant? Ça fait peur là. Dans le noir là. Avec le vent. Arrête, ça me fait peur. Pourquoi ça n'a pas changé? Je suis trop peur. C'est quoi? Bon bah là je peux plus skip hein. Si peut-être. Oui, freedom. Ah. Vite. Je vais mourir du coup. De soif. Mais là, je vais jamais rencontrer quelque chose, là. Ok. What the fuck? Ok. Bon, on l'a fait cette fin, là. Qu'on aille se coucher, purée.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go
Il y
to
a
the
une heure
meeting room.
tardive.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Suffit, hein. New content. Ouais, c'est bon, contente. Non, c'est bon, je vais finir le jeu et après...
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
On est d'accord?
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Quelle surprise! What the fuck? Ok. Allez, on y va. Quelle surprise!
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ok, ça allume la télé. La salle plutôt.
The lights rose
Là.
on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Parce qu'il a des cheveux, c'est pour ça qu'il est en mode Astarion. Désolé si je ne connais rien. Mais trop bien en vrai. Genre c'est trop cool.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
Et du coup,
Stanley's
Neil
co-workers.
Newbon,
The
pardon,
lives of
c'est
so
le
many
créateur
individuals
ou pas du
reduced to
tout?
images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally
Ok.
monitored in this
Et à ça,
place
quoi.
where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with
Pourquoi là
his
tu fais
boring
pas
job?
blablabla? On
That
aurait
his
pu faire
emotions had
blablabla
been
là.
manipulated to accept it blindly?
Allez, on y va.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was
Never.
unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy
With emotions.
or sad or content. Walking, eating, working.
D'accord.
All of it
Et du coup,
monitored and commanded from this very place.
Il fait quoi? Il fait
And
du
as the
gaming ou pas
cold
du
reality
tout?
of his
Sur Twitch,
past
du
began
coup,
to
pardon.
sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its
Désolé, je te
terrible
bombarde de
power
questions.
over another human life.
Allez.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command.
Je pense que
Freedom
c'est
was
non.
mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No
You
longer
have to
would
let
anyone
go.
tell him where to go, what to do, or
What to
how to
feel.
feel.
C'est
Whatever life he
beau.
lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Alors. Oh mais trop bien en vrai. Genre en vrai c'est grave un bon moyen du coup de parler du jeu et de parler comment ça s'est
Stanley
passé.
felt the cool breeze
Genre
upon his
streamer dessus
skin,
du coup.
the feeling
Trop bien.
of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Ok.
And Stanley
Donc si tu fais ça dès le début,
was
t'as cette
happy.
fin là en fait. Et genre tu peux passer à côté de tout, non? Je sais pas. Oh, terminer le jeu, un petit succès. Ok, tu reviens là. Pardon. Donc du coup t'as plus la...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
Ah,
had
il n'y a
simply
plus
missed a
le
memo.
new content. Bon bref, contente. Enfin bref. Ok. Bah écoutez, je vais m'arrêter là. On va se laisser là. En vrai, c'était trop cool. Enfin, moi, j'ai beaucoup aimé. Genre, j'adore être insolent et ne pas faire ce qu'on me dit de faire. Donc franchement, moi, j'ai beaucoup aimé. Voilà. Et j'espère que vous, ça vous a plu, genre que c'était pas insupportable à regarder, du coup. Mais voilà. Hop! Pas trop bien si ça vous a plu. Il y a eu qu'un commentaire qui a dit que c'était bien. Non, je sais. Hop. Alors, hop. Pardon. Je sais plus comment faire. Trop bien, alors, si vous avez aimé. C'est trop cool. Et merci, genre du coup, c'était le stream de la reprise pour moi. Donc, c'était trop bien. C'était trop bien de jouer avec vous, avec ce jeu, c'était vraiment trop bien. Genre. Yesu est content. Et je vais pas arrêter de boire, je suis désolée. Trop bien. Trop bien, trop bien. Hop, on va mettre un petit peu de musique pour la fin du stream. Ça va être bien. Gris bisous à toi aussi. Passez une bonne soirée. Ouais, moi aussi ça me fait plaisir et du coup j'espère que les streams pour moi vont continuer. Normalement oui. Peut-être pas tous les mercredis, mais j'aurai peut-être un autre jour de la semaine. Sauf le jeudi bien sûr. Il y a une autre soirée qui nous attend le jeudi. Mais ouais, j'espère restreamer bientôt. Bah... oui, je sais. Bah, passez une bonne nuit, parce qu'il faut aller se coucher, hein, demain il y a école. Merci d'avoir été là, et puis bah, à bientôt du coup. Des bisous. Au secours, comment on fait? Ouais.